How's it going, YouTube? Today I wanted to talk about my experience with the online mic program and basically give a little yap about it. But first, I just want to talk about how it started and how I got into the program in the first place. So about 2 years ago when I was 17, I went into my local recruiter's office for the Army because I wanted to join, because everybody in my family pretty much joined and some of my family friends served in the Army, so I just wanted to carry on the tradition, I guess. And also I wanted to go for the free schooling, and I liked the benefits, and like almost every young teenager wanted to go into the Army. I just wanted to go to war, bruh. That was just an experience that I wanted. My goal MOS going into it was 11 Bravo, which is infantry, and I was fully prepared for the OSUT, which is one station unit training. It's like 6 months, and I was pretty excited to join, and I expected everything to go smoothly, which obviously by the video it did not. So I get into the office and I basically enlist there, and it took like a week for all the information to be processed. So skip a week or so and it's time to take my ASVAB test, and I'm prepared and I'm ready to pass, bro. Like, I'm going into this thinking I'm gonna pass the test. So I can begin a new journey, right? Because it's the Army. Everybody wants to get into the Army, right? So I get in around 10 a.m. and I'm waiting like an hour for everyone else to get in to take the test because it's at a big ass school. And when everyone arrives, we get into the testing room, and the testing room's dark as hell, and the computer lights they're like dim, so I couldn't even see. And I also had like test anxiety. So I began taking the test, and long story short, I failed the test. I failed the test by like 1 or 2 points because I made a 29 or a 30. I felt pretty defeated, to be honest, but I had been waiting for some time to join, and at that point I was just like, okay, maybe the Army isn't for me, so I'll just go home and figure out another option. So I go home, I tell my family. Obviously everyone's pretty disappointed, but nothing insane because you can't really get mad at something as small as that. But a few months go by and I turn 18 and I get a job in Louisiana with a company called SEC that does natural gas pipeline, working in neighborhoods, and I worked there for a few months, and it got to a point where I was like, okay, this really isn't for me, because there was an altercation at a Tractor Supply. So I get back in contact with my recruiter, and all my information is still good, because your information is good for 2 years. And he sees that I didn't pass the ASVAB, and he brings up that there's a program called the online mic program, which is in South Carolina. Now the online mic program basically helps you study for the ASVAB and get you prepared for basic training. So I agreed to the program because I want to get in, and this is my opportunity. Now the program is 3 weeks long, but you can go all the way up to 3 months in case you fail the first time or third time. So it's like recycling. So I say, yeah, that program sounds good, because I'm thinking that this is my shot into the program and actually become a U.S. Army soldier, basically. So skip ahead a few weeks and I'm approved for the program, and I inform my family, and they're excited for me because they know that this is what I wanted, and I've been wanting this since I was basically 13. So I go to MEPS and I get the physical done and everything's good, and I go back home, and a day or so later my recruiter calls me and gives me a date. I had to leave on the 26th of April. It was either August or April. I think it was April, which at that time was a week away. So on the 25th, I go to the MEPS hotel, which is where you have to go to like get your physical and shit. But I get to the MEPS hotel and I made some pretty good friends, and I made some friends that are going to the Marines. I'll show some pictures, but we just had a fun time there. I can't lie. So it was a pretty good experience at the MEPS hotel. So eventually August 26th comes around, and we wake up really early at like 4 a.m. 0400, and we get into a bus and go to MEPS. Now, we had already done a physical, I can't lie, but the physical was something light, I can't lie. So we go to the MEPS and we go through a little briefing, and we were there for 5 hours, bruh. Literally, we didn't leave to go to the airport until 9 a.m., which MEPS was terribly boring, but we were allowed to have our phones, so it wasn't too bad. Also, when you pack, to leave, don't pack too much. If you are going to this program, do not pack anything, bro. You might as well just take the little musty smell, bro, and just go with only your ID and socials and the paperwork your recruiter gives you, or the paperwork MEPS gives you, because you will not use a single thing, bro. But anyways, I'm gonna throw up some pictures now from my experience there, and let me know what y'all think of that. So when MEPS gave me my flight ticket, I was expecting it to be a one-way flight to Columbia Airport, which is the closest airport to Fort Jackson, but they gave me a connecting flight from my airport, which is a little local airport, literally to the fucking Atlanta airport. So 2 jets basically. So I arrived in Atlanta airport around 10 p.m. and I'm tired as hell. I've been up for a little over 12 hours and I just want to sleep. And my flight to Colombia was supposed to leave at 11:25, but I'm like, fuck it. So I changed the flight to 4:30 a.m. and I just go to sleep right there on the floor near the little sphere thing that they have in Atlanta. I'll go ahead and throw up a picture of that. So I basically got zero sleep while I was at the airport. But the time comes and I go to the gate and I board the flight to go into Columbia Airport. Luckily the flight was on time and it was pretty smooth flight. I can't lie. It was a calm little flight. I'll throw up a picture of that if I have one. I get to Columbia Airport at about 6 a.m. and we have to go to the USO, which is where you check in. It's basically a non-profit military thing that makes sure service members are where they need to be. And the only good thing about that place was that they give you free food and snacks, and I was starving because I'm not spending $30 on some Starbucks at the airport at Atlanta because it's expensive as hell. And the only thing I ate was Burger King because some guy that looked like Baby Chief do it served me. So while there, I ate a big Texas honey bun and I drank like 5 Red Bulls because everything was free. Literally everything in the USO building was free. That's the only good thing about that place. Everybody else was mean. But we wait for like, I don't want to say about 2.5 hours and the bus gets to us. So at around 8 a.m. a bus comes and gets us. And I'm just listening to music and I'm falling asleep, right? So I'm falling asleep while the bus is driving. And the bus driver is just swerving, bruh. So I wake up a little bit and the bus driver is just swerving. But this is what happens. My bad, I'm losing breath a little bit. I'm trying to do this all in one take. It takes 30 minutes to get to Fort Jackson. So I wake up 30 minutes later and we're pulling into the base. And this is where the realization kind of sets in that I'm really in the Army and that like this is my time. So it's like my time to really get together and put some things together. So we pull up to this big building at 120th, which is reception. And I don't remember it too well, so I'm not going to lie and say how the process went. But it was basically like MEPS, and it was just boring. We ate MREs. We went to a gymnasium for a little briefing, and everyone was just falling asleep from how boring it was. Now, this is the part where I don't have my phone, so I don't know any time, to be honest. But around lunchtime, we go to this large warehouse, and we get all of our basic clothes and such. We walked through this line and we got our summer and winter ACUs and our summer and winter PTs, combat gloves, winter gloves, etc. bro. We literally got everything. Dog tags, cat cards, whatever you can think of, we got it, bro. Now, some people didn't get their dog tags or their cat cards, but I did. I got mine. Actually, I got my cat card a little later, but I'll throw up a picture of where 120th is so you can get the idea. And I'll also have to throw up the defect. You'll be able to tell which one's which because there's a big ass building and there's a little ass building. So after we get all our assigned clothes, we take our personal bag and our duffel bag to the barracks under like a little awning, and we lay all of our personal bags and duffel bags down, and we take out our phones, and we have to take these little pieces of tape and we have to put tape on the back of our things so that they know which is ours. So for mine was Alpha 549. 549 was like my number, and we take all of that. So I was in Alpha Company at 120th. I was 549. And after we put all the tape on our belongings, we got taken to the PX where we were given what's called an Eagle Cash Card. And it's basically a debit card that's preloaded with your money. And ours was preloaded with $350. And I think the women's was preloaded with $750. And we had to go through a line and go and get like specific things like hygiene and letter material so we could write to our families. And we also got locks for our lockers. But during reception, bro, we had a fun ass time. I made a lot of good friends there and we had so much fun, but we were so bored. It got to the point that we were spraying shaving cream on each other, no diddy, while we were sleeping. Now, like I said, I don't remember everything there too well, so I'm only gonna say the things I remember. So even though a lot of other things happened during reception, I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't remember it too well and I just don't want to lie. But we didn't leave reception until May 4th, so about like a week later. I said we got there, the most disgusting thing I had ever seen when we were getting our shots, bro, because before we left we had to get our shots, and the most disgusting thing I ever seen, bro, people were bleeding a lot, and I saw a girl's vaccine literally shoot out of her arm because I was helping with the gauze, because you can't touch the people but you can hand them gauze, and I was handing them gauze, bro, and it was just so nasty because this girl's like shit really like squirted out of her arm, and it was so nasty, bro, and I thought she was about to like pass out, but she didn't. She toughed that shit out. So but it was my turn to get the shot because I was helping out. So towards the end, it was time to get my shot. So I got kind of like special privilege. So I cut everybody in line, unfortunately. But, you know, I was kind of nervous. But behind me, the ladies were behind me, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I can't get out now. So now I just sucked that shit up and took 6 shots to the arm. And it didn't really hurt as bad as I imagined. It really doesn't hurt until afterwards in the next day. So it just sore. So on May 4th, we lined up on a little side road and we waited 20 minutes in ACUs in hot ass South Carolina heat, bro. And we waited for the buses to arrive, and when they arrived, we all piled into the buses, and we had all of our personal stuff in our duffel bags, but we had to lay our heads in our laps, and we drove 15 minutes all the way to the 09 Mic program. So here's some pics from 120th I took, and I was not happy with the fresh cut they gave me. So we got to the 09 Mic program, and unfortunately for me, none of my friends were with me because we all got split between platoons. We got sent to Charlie Company 161, and I was in 3rd platoon. And the minute we got off the bus, we had to run, and I'm talking about run down the stairs and into formation. And I remember a friend I made who we call Speedy Gonzalez saw a little girl, like she was small, almost midget size. She fell down, and Speedy tried helping her up, and our drill sergeant literally yelled at us. So we got yelled at, and it's just a whole cluster of confusion. We got a 30-second phone call though, and we had to say, "This is recruit so-and-so, and I have safely arrived at Charlie Company 161 Fort Jackson, South Carolina." And people were crying and everything, and it was kind of funny because I look over and I see my buddy from 120 just crying like a baby, and he's in the easiest platoon. 3rd platoon's the hardest platoon because we literally eat last every time. Now, to keep the video a little shorter because I've been yapping for a fat minute, I'm going to skip a lot of unnecessary details. But basically, you for the first 3 and 4 days, you go through what's called briefings. So the second day of being at 09 Mic, because the first day you get yelled at by drill sergeants, and you basically meet your drill sergeant. But the second day you go through briefings with the company commander and the first sergeant. The second day you go through a briefing with the major and the sergeant major. I think that's what it is. And then the next day you go through briefings with the EO officers and the assault officers, SA officers. And the actual 09 Mic program is chill. There's nothing too much to say about it other than it's however you make it. So if you want it to be a good time, it'll be a good time. Now for me, I had an okay time. Basically for me, I was fighting a lot. I got into a lot of fights, and I even flipped one dude, and I got flipped a couple times. So, you know, it's however you make it. But everybody there was pretty much just chilling and vibing, and a lot of people that want to be gangsters and stuff. See, for me, right, I ain't no gangster. I didn't join the army because I wanted to be a gangster. I'm just me. So, but there were a lot of people that were trying to be gangster in there, and they got put in place real good. So that's pretty much it. So if you're going into the 09 Mic program, study your words. You'll see it written under the thing. If you go to Bravo Company, Charlie Company, Delta Company, or Echo Company, bro, literally study your words. You'll see it everywhere, and the drill sergeants will even tell you, hey, study your words. And if you're lucky, you might even get a printout sheet from one of the drill sergeants. But basically, if you go to 09 Mic, just have fun, bro, and don't be a lame, and don't do goofy shit, and go to class on time. Don't go to sick call, because if you go to sick call, you're just gonna make your time there a whole lot worse. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little like yap session. I'm not the best at it. This is my first video on YouTube, but I wanted to make it somewhat exotic instead of something boring. Now, the gameplay in the background, I hope it's straight. If not, I'm sorry, I can't fix that. Well, actually I can, I just don't feel like it. But, you know, I just hope you enjoyed it. And, you know, if you're interested in this type of content, bro, I plan on making more. I got a couple videos lined up that I really want to do, and I'm just hoping it all works out. But if not, hey, I don't really mind. So, enjoy.